Welcome to TruPowur, home of the most powerful marketing tools, training, and technology on planet Earth. Get ready to earn, enjoy, and experience more than you ever dreamed was possible. If you're tired of just getting by and ready to really thrive, then buckle in and listen up. Here's your host, Matt Fox.
Hello and welcome this fine day. Today on TruPowur Academy, we want to talk about the commercial sales cycle and how to maximize what you offer the customer, as well as increasing your income. So without any further ado, let me share my screen and let's jump right into it. The first thing that we want to talk about is the sales cycle and how each one of those relate to your sales process. So typically during business hours, we're talking to commercial customers, and after business hours, we're talking to residential customers. But during the day, predominantly when we're doing most of our business, we're talking to customers about the utility audit. And so when we talk to the customer about the utility audit, we're talking about nothing else. We're not talking about the pricing platform. We're not talking about any of the other services, keeping one train of thought, and that is the utility audit. So when we make contact with the customer, the utility audit is part of the process of going backwards up to 4 years, where we can identify the errors that are buried within the utility and get that back as a refund for the customer. So when we talk about that, we're going to get the electric bill for that customer, and then we're going to enter that information into the platform so that the auditors can get underway. Now, there are additional cost centers, but I would warn you that if you try and talk about all of the other different cost centers on the initial phone call, it more than likely is going to just raise more questions. It's going to cause more confusion. And when you do that, what do people say? Send me some information. That's your clue that you talk too much. So we want to focus primarily just on the electric bill. Once we get a copy of that electric bill, we're going to upload it to the auditors so that they can get underway. Now, the audit can take 30, 60, 90 days. So it's not a quick turnaround. So the results, if favorable for a refund for that customer, at best is tomorrow money for you for revenue, right? So we want to make sure that we can create some today money by going to the next phase, which is the electric proposal. So when we get the utility bill for the utility audit, then simultaneously we're going to want to create an electric proposal using the same electric bill. At this point, the customer has no idea that you're doing this because we don't know what the results are going to be. So we are simply going to go back to our quick launch menu, and under the commercial pricing platform, we are going to enter that customer's information into the system. So right here, you can see from the dashboard, you would add new customer, putting in their zip code, and just follow along. And so if you're new, somebody is going to walk you through those processes. So it's going to be very simple. But once we get a copy of that customer's utility bill, we're going to upload it to the auditors. And then simultaneously, we want to look at any additional benefits that might be available for that customer at the supplier level. So if that customer had usage of under 1 million kWh per year, and they were paying 9.76, which I know the average is a lot higher than that. Looking at their bills, this would save a customer going from 9.76 down to 7.25, would save that customer $125,000 over the course of a 60-month term. So we're going to create a proposal and then send that to the customer. So when you are in the CRM and we need to send that proposal to the customer, you're going to click on their email, select the proposal right here, the supplier savings proposal. Don't forget to rename it. We're going to attach it and then send it to the customer. Then immediately follow up with a phone call to that customer to let them know that we received a copy of their bill, safe and sound, right here. Follow up with the customer, let them know that you received their utility bill, safe and sound, that the auditors are already underway. And during the initial investigation, we found some additional savings in their account. I emailed you some information. Take a look at that. Give me a call. We'll go over the details if you have any questions. When they get that email, a pop-up will appear on the screen letting you know that they have what you sent them open. That's the time to talk to that customer, not when they're at Home Depot or in the bathroom, when they have what you sent them open. When they look at that proposal, it's going to be pretty easy for them to make that a yes commitment due to the fact that it's going to be, in this case, $125,000 worth of savings. Obviously, the revenue on that is fairly decent as well. So we're very pleased with that outcome and sending that off to the customer for the proposal. Once we have inked the proposal, if the customer moves forward with that contract, then now we've created today money while we're waiting for the utility audit to be completed. Once either the new proposal has been signed with a new contract, or if the customer turns it down, then we immediately want to then go to phase 3, which is adding the additional cost centers. That's when we go back and talk about all of these other additional cost centers. So that'd be another conversation where you would talk to the customer to let them know that all is progressing well with the audit. However, in review of your account, I see that there are additional cost centers that have the potential to increase the amount of the refund. What do you mean by that? Well, as you know, we're auditing your electric account. Let me ask you, do you use natural gas? Sure. Water and sewer? No, that's paid by the landlord. Waste removal, like dumpsters, that kind of thing, telecom, wireless, shipping, freight, cost segregation, any or all of these additional cost services have the potential to increase the amount of the refund. At this point, you've already built trust with that customer. So if natural gas happens to be in the mix and they send that to you, guess what? We're going to do the same thing that we did with the electric account, only now with the natural gas. So now we're going to do the natural gas proposal if added in the cost center to the utility audit. So now we've got the utility audit with additional cost centers for audit. We have the electric proposal, which got signed. And now we're looking at the natural gas proposal and taking advantage of that. Once the customer has signed or refused on that, then we can go to looking at that customer's residential electric and natural gas, affording them an opportunity to actually participate with rates that are going to be far less than typical residential electric and natural gas, because if they are the primary business owner and we have signed a contract with for their electric on their business, we can also offer them the same rate for their residential electric and natural gas, which is going to be significantly lower than typical residential electric and natural gas just by itself. So that's a huge, huge advantage for the customer. Once we have finished all of that, then we want to look at residential solar being installed, if available, in that state for the customer, giving them energy independence. Energy independence for solar, you can find that right here where you can request a solar proposal. You can do that directly from the quick launch menu and complete that information so that we can create a proposal to see if their home is going to be a good fit for installed solar. If the customer is in one of these states, affording them an opportunity to have energy independence by going with solar is going to be a huge benefit. So you say, why should I do their electric account if I'm just going to install solar at a later point? Well, you have to remember that they're going to still use or still be tied to the electric grid. They're going to be using, unless they have a battery, they're going to be using energy off of the grid at night. During the day, their solar panels are going to run their home, plus be adding energy back to the grid, which creates a credit. The more credit that they have, they're basically using back during the night. So that becomes an offset. So we want that cost to be as low as possible. So that's why we would want to do their electric account first. If they're not in a position to install solar, maybe their credit is less than best. Maybe they're a renter. They live in an apartment, a condo, a trailer, cardboard box. Anybody who doesn't have free will access to the roof, then we would want to explore whether or not the solar farm would be applicable to them. The solar farm is available in these states down here: New York, Maine, Massachusetts, Maryland, Minnesota, New Jersey, Oregon, Rhode Island, and Illinois. Illinois is a very popular state. So taking them to that next phase is a very simple proposition, because we're not going to charge them a penny. We're not going to lock them in any long-term contract, and we're not going to have to install any solar panels on their home, business, or property. So by doing that, it is going to save them on average of 10 to 25% over what they were currently paying. They're still going to use energy off of the grid like they always have. The difference is the solar farm is replacing it back onto the grid at a greater rate, creating an offset and a discount for that customer. So outside of that, there are some other optional services that we do provide that I think a lot of people tend to overlook sometimes, but one of them is the autopilot bill reduction. And so if you understand a little bit about this, this is a service where we do not switch any of their current services. In other words, we don't take their internet at 100 megs and switch it to a 50 meg, and then we saved you money. We don't do that. All of their services remain exactly the same. The difference is we take all of their services, add it to our much larger services, and are able to aggregate and reduce what they pay. On average, for a homeowner, It can be $400 to $1,700 a year. For commercial customers, it can be much greater. So what bills can you upload? Everything except their car payment, their mortgage, and credit card. So electric, natural gas, internet, mobile cell phone, TV, cable, satellite, security, bottled water delivery, newspapers, subscription, any bill that is not their mortgage, car payment, or credit card. So that is, for people who want to bill reduction across all of their bills, or perhaps maybe they're just very opposed to switching any of their services whatsoever. So that's a huge advantage to take there. The other thing is LED lighting. We do a lot of LED lighting, and you can find that information, more about that, under the corporate website, under services. So if you click on TruPowur.org and click on the service tab, you will see down here that we do LED lighting for commercial applications. That is huge in helping customers reduce what they're currently paying. Financing is available through PACE, which means that the loan actually becomes a line item in the tax roll. So you don't ever have to worry about that. If they ever sell the property, that tax roll goes with the property and the new owner assumes that liability. So the last thing is power factor correction. Now, a lot of times you may see the auditors refer to that when you do a utility audit if there is a bad power factor. So same thing, there's more information on the power factor correction. This is something that we have been doing for many, many years. We actually manufacture the panels that go in there that correct that. And so this takes out all of the spikes that you would see in your energy usage. So just imagine for a moment if you dressed your house up like the Griswolds with Christmas lights and then had a big reveal where you flipped all the lights on. Well, if you looked at your bill at that point, you would see a huge spike in your energy usage, and then it would come down to where it operated. If you take and draw a horizontal line at the top of that spike and draw a horizontal line out 12 months between that level and where you operate for the rest of the year, you're going to pay a penalty for having one reveal. And so that can be very, very costly for many, many months thereafter. When you have capacitor banks in place on your home and or business, when you have those energy surges, this takes that out so that your usage stays flat. You don't have any power factor. And then also when you are looking at renewing your electricity contracts, that power factor is also calculated into your electric bill. And so your suppliers are going to be more aggressive with customers that have good power factor, because they know that you're not going to be having these strange demands, especially like a commercial factory where everybody comes in at 8 o'clock and then boots up a bunch of equipment all at once, where you see this huge spike every day, or a stadium or anything where they're running a lot of energy all at once and then not having any energy at night and things like that. So I did want to take some time today to kind of go over the sales cycle to hopefully simplify the process in which we take that customer journey. So starting with the utility audit, gathering their electric bill, submitting that to the auditors, and then creating the electric proposal using that same information, adding the cost centers, natural gas proposal, if that is in the mix, and then having a conversation with them about their residential electric and natural gas. Now, do you have to follow this process? No. Would it afford you the maximum amount of opportunity? Absolutely. We've been doing this a long time. So starting with the utility audit is a much softer, friendlier, easier approach, and affords the customer an opportunity to see if there are any errors within their utility bill. So, at the end of the day, it's so valuably important that people do a utility audit because, most people don't know that the onus and responsibility of making sure that the utility is correct is on the customer, not the utility. Utility companies overcharge customers to the tune of $60 billion a year and climbing. They're not going to tell you they like the revenue. So it's important that you convey that message to the customer. So it's so valuably important. Anyways, I want to thank everybody for being on the call today. Hopefully you found value. If you did, then like and subscribe if you're watching this on the replay. Again, like always, you don't have to go home, but you can stay here. So have fun storming the castle. Bye now.